Hello and welcome to the Garnet Cowboy Sports Show. I'm your host, Chase Harrington. You may or may not remember me from my previous podcast, the Palmetto Divide Sports Show. Um, that was with Trey and I, a good friend of mine. We're still friends. Unfortunately, our schedules don't match up too well, so we're unable to continue that podcast. So I decided to do my own thing, called the Garnet Cowboy Sports Show, where I'll be talking all things South Carolina Gamecocks football. Um, I'll probably only be doing one episode a week of this show, just talking and going through the football season and seeing what's going on. And then after that, we'll see where we go from there. But I'll be definitely doing this each football season at minimum. So thank you for watching. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, even TikTok. Yeah, just go like, follow, and subscribe on all those things, and just support the channel. I do appreciate it very much. But yeah, so we're just going to talk some Gamecock football and see what's going on with them this upcoming season. Excited for this season. Excited to be doing this podcast and talking football with you guys. So yeah, we can get right into it. Today I was going to talk about the best case and worst case scenario for the Gamecocks heading into the 2026 football season. There's been a lot of changes with South Carolina this past season. You know, you got a new OC, Kendall Browse, a new offensive line coach, running backs coach, all those good things. So there's a lot to look forward to with this South Carolina team. I feel like there's more question marks for the offense than there is defense. So we'll see how it plays out. But for me, I expect a big improvement for this South Carolina team from who they brought in via transfer portal and things like that. Loaded with talent. A lot of good players on this team. But anyway, the point of the video, best and worst case scenario for South Carolina in the 2026 football season. We'll start off with worst case scenario. Like I said, I have a different opinion than most people. When I look at this team last season, I thought there was really only two main issues. The obvious is offensive line. We all know that. And then I really think Mike Shula played a big role in why this team failed. And I know a lot of people know that, but I think it's even more extensive than what it's made out of. I think he was a really, really bad hire, and he affected us last season. You think about all the close games we were in: Alabama, Missouri, Texas A&M. There's others, but the list goes on and on. So, and they were all close games going into the fourth quarter, and you just couldn't score the ball. And at the end of the day, that comes down to the offensive coordinator not being able to get in the end zone or even kick field goals. I mean, just look at the A&M game. All you needed was a field goal in the second half, and you win that football game. Held to 0. I know Shula was already fired by then, but it was still probably the same playbook, if you will, that they were using. I doubt they put a new offense in out of nowhere. But yeah, but anyways, worst case scenario for South Carolina, I have them at 7-5 as a worst case scenario for them. I have the schedule here beside me, and as I go through it, Kent State, Towson, Mississippi State, Alabama, Kentucky, Florida, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Arkansas, Georgia, Clemson. Okay, you're 2-0 right there. That's 2 wins. I don't know this narrative that I heard a podcast earlier that Mississippi State is going to beat South Carolina at night at home, or I know it's an evening game at least. It's not happening. Not going to happen. Stupid prediction. I forgot who it was. The stupid prediction. Mississippi State has no chance in that game. South Carolina will be 3-0. You can mark my words on that. It's going to happen. 3-0 in South Carolina. Then you travel to Alabama. Okay. You know, that's a toss-up game. You can lose. Kentucky, probably you're going to win that game. So you're already sitting at 4 wins in 5 games. So then you got Florida, Tennessee, Oklahoma, A&M, Arkansas, Georgia, Clemson. So, Florida, new head coach, new offense coordinator, new quarterback. Very, very, very winnable game. Noon game as well at the Swamp. Not going to be as crazy an environment as it would normally be if it was a night game. So, very winnable game there in Florida. Tennessee. We know South Carolina always gives Tennessee a good game. This game's being played at Williams-Brice Stadium. I like South Carolina's chances in this game. I'm not making a prediction on it yet or anything like that, but I like South Carolina at home at night there. We'll see how the season plays before see where each team stands. Tennessee has a lot of question marks as well. Oklahoma, tough environment, tough game. That's going to be an interesting matchup to say the least. South Carolina, last time they went to Norman, really beat Oklahoma handily, and then Oklahoma last season coming to Williams-Brice and beating us. So that could be a good game as well. I'm hearing Oklahoma has one of the best defenses in the SEC this season and in the country. So we'll see how it all plays out. But again, this is just me saying why South Carolina, worst case scenario is 7-5. Like I said, worst case scenario, you got wins over Kent State, Towson, Mississippi State, Kentucky, and then from Florida, Tennessee, Oklahoma, A&M, Arkansas. You probably beat Arkansas. So there's 5 wins right there. And then between Florida, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Georgia, A&M, Clemson. A&M at home probably at night. You got Georgia at home. And you're going to Clemson, how good are they this season? Not good at all. You're probably going to, if you play to your potential, you're probably going to beat Clemson. So there's definitely 7 wins on this I expect out of South Carolina at the very minimum this season. And that's just worst case scenario, which I don't know if that would be enough to save a job for Shane Beamer or not, depending on who he beats and stuff like that and the outcome of some of these games. But let's talk a more positive note. The best case scenario for South Carolina. I got South Carolina going 10-2 as a best case scenario for this upcoming season. Again, looking at this, I think that week 4 matchup versus Alabama, everyone keeps talking week 3, Mississippi State. I get it. Season opener or SEC opener. But you got them at home, probably a night game or late evening game. You're coming off a 2-0 start, guaranteed. Granted, there's no injuries or anything like that. You don't want any players going down, but you have to show up and play. There's no doubt about that against Mississippi State. But to sit here and say that Mississippi State is like some team that we got to just, I don't know, prepare like we're preparing for Georgia or something like that. Sure, you got to show up and you got to play, but I'm not going to sit here and act like Mississippi State is a threatening game, if you will. It's just, to me, maybe I'm mistaken and I'm overlooking Mississippi State, but I don't see it. And then you go to Alabama. To me, that Alabama game is the biggest game on the schedule for me because you've had them 2 years in a row where you should have beat them probably. Back-to-back seasons. Feels like the stars are aligning this season with this team. A lot of talent on this team, a lot of good players, a lot of returning players, a lot of veterans on this team this season. So I feel like, Alabama is expected to have a down year this year with who they have on their roster. So I expect South Carolina to really go in there and have a chance against Alabama and possibly win this game. And if they win this game, I don't see why 10-2 should definitely be a possibility. Again, Kentucky, not going to be a great team this year. Florida, some people have high hopes for them. John Summerall and all that, new head coach and everything else, and offensive coordinator. I don't see it. Not in the first season. Not saying they're not going to be good in the future seasons, but I'm talking about this season. I don't think Florida's going to be great. They may be okay, but a noon kickoff in Gainesville, just not going to be a tough environment at that point in time for South Carolina, especially coming out from a night game at Alabama. It's just going to be a different environment. And then you got Tennessee. Tennessee, who knows what Tennessee's going to be this season. There's up and down reviews on them. So by that time in the season, we'll see what Tennessee has. But again, evening game at Williams-Brice Stadium. Anything can happen there. We know that. We've seen it a million times. And then you go to Oklahoma. Again, that'll probably be a tough game. That's probably one I have a loss as one of the two losses on there. But then you can find a loss anywhere between Georgia, Bama, Tennessee, A&M. Anywhere in there, you can find another loss where they get their second loss on the season. But 10-2, realistically, is their best case scenario this upcoming football season. So, yeah, worst case scenario, 7-5. I don't know if Beamer keeps his job after that, but we'll see. Best case scenario, 10-2, South Carolina makes the playoff. And, possibly make the SEC championship game and have a chance to get a home playoff game. So we'll see how that plays out. But, yeah, that's my best case, worst case scenario. Another thing I was going to talk about, Shane Beamer and his job. I don't know where you would put the line for what Beamer would have to accomplish to keep his job. There's been a lot of different talk about this and about that, about he needs this record or that record. It's just tricky because when let's just say you go to Alabama and you lose, okay? That's your first loss of the season. Say you lose to Tennessee, 2 losses. Say you lose to Oklahoma, 3 losses. A&M, Georgia, there's 5 losses. You may end up finishing 7-5, but end of the season you beat Clemson at Clemson, and say Clemson is 9-3 at the time, 9-2 at the time, and South Carolina goes in there and beats them. Then what? Does Beamer keep his job at that point? Or do you still fire him with a 7-5 record with a win over your in-state rival? Now, to me personally, my personal opinion, yes, you absolutely fire the guy 7-5. To me, this year's playoff or bust for South Carolina. It's just too much talent on this football team for them to just throw it away. I mean, you got in all kinds of transfers, and you got Lenore Sellers, Nick Harbor, Dylan Stewart all returning. So what excuse do you have this year with the transfers, the veterans? All these players, these guys, these receivers you brought in, you tell me. No excuses this season. But offensively, let's look at the offense. Again, last year, we know the offensive line struggled. But you went out and essentially fixed that problem, we hope. You went and got what you were supposed to get, all these good players. I mean, you got 5 stars all over or a pair of 5 stars anyways. They're more likely going to be playing. Jakari Peak should be back at least by the Mississippi State game. You got receivers everywhere. Sellers is back. Fuller looking to have a breakout season. You got one of the best O-line coaches now you went out and hired. So, I mean, it's a tricky situation. I just don't see how you could ruin this season with the talent you have and the guys you have. Kendall Briles and the offense he runs, it really does fit Lenore Sellers really well, the up-tempo kind of thing, and I think that's going to benefit a lot. Again, like I said earlier, though, Mike Shula, I think he ruined the season last season. Like there's not enough emphasis on that from other podcasts or people I hear talking about last season. It's all about fixing the O-line and this and that. And I'm like, okay, but Mike Shula, if you think about the positions we were in last season to win football games and how many games he kept us from winning because he just refused to be able to move the football. Everyone blames the O-line, but I think there were some scheme issues and things like that. And I think a lot of these guys knew that. That's why when they brought Kendall Briles in, a lot of these guys stayed. They didn't run off and leave and hit the transfer portal and everything else. So I think we're 25 days away from the season. Kick things off, 12:45 p.m. Eastern Time kick at Willie B against Kent State. I can see us running the score up in that one just to make a statement finally early in the season. I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. It's going to be a fun season. I'm excited to talk football with you. Like I said, I'll be posting videos once a week, probably every Tuesday. If I don't post on Tuesday because I might be hunting or something like that, then it'll be Wednesday or Thursday. So either way, there'll be one video a week. I'm going to try to do it consistently on Tuesdays, Tuesday nights. That way we can talk about it. Once the season gets going, I'll be making my prediction and reaction videos. But next week, I'll be giving you my game-by-game prediction on each game and telling you who I think is going to win and what I think South Carolina's final record will be. But that'll probably be next Tuesday. But yeah, I'm excited to talk all this with you. I'm excited for the football season. I'm hoping for a big season. But like I said earlier, my worst case scenario for South Carolina, 7-5. Best case scenario, 10-2. I think the over under on the over 6.5. I think 6.5 is the over under for South Carolina on win total. I would take the over. I'm not a gambler, but I would take the over. I mean, 7-5 being worst case, you think 8-4, 9-3, 10-2. South Carolina's going to be in that range. So I definitely take the over. But then again, there could be injuries. If Sellers gets hurt, knock on wood, but one of these guys gets hurt that can really change the game. That's a different story. But a full healthy squad this year for South Carolina, I really have high expectations for them. And I think they'll play well. Lenore Sellers, I expect him to have a big season. And when I mean big season, I'm talking Heisman level season. You bring in Kendall Brown, the up-tempo, I think it fits his game perfectly. I think he'll rack up a lot of yards, running, rushing, and throwing. I look for him to light it up, really. So he's one of my dark horse Heisman contenders. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching this and taking the time out just to listen to my 2 cents about South Carolina football. Again, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok even. Follow us on all of them. Like, subscribe. And next week, I'll be giving my game-by-game prediction. And then we'll talk a little bit about fall camp after that. And then at that time, it's football time. And then I'll really look forward to getting into that and hearing from you guys and seeing what you think about the season's going and hearing what you think we need to improve on and things like that. But go ahead and comment on this video. What do you think is the best case and worst case scenario for South Carolina in this upcoming season? Is yours lower than mine? Do you think South Carolina has the potential to go 6-6, 5-7 again, or even 4-8? Or do you have higher expectations? 11-1 even, maybe even 12-0. I know that's a little high, but some people have those expectations. I mean, I want to win every game, and I expect to win every game, which is crazy. But when I take a step back and look at the reality of things, I know probably not going to happen. But I will be expecting them to win every game and rooting for them every game. So a lot to look forward to. I'm telling you. It's going to be a fun podcast. We'll be doing ticket giveaways, giving away shirts, things like that. So you guys just tune in, like, follow, and subscribe. Just look out for the giveaways. I know I'm giving away 2 tickets to the opener game. I don't know when I'm going to post that yet, but that will be coming soon. Yeah, and that's about it for today's episode. Thank you guys for watching, and always, go Gamecocks, baby.